The life of a uranium mine, such as the Cominak mine in the Agadez region of Niger, does not come to an end with the cessation of production. Following the mining of nearly 70,000 metric tons of uranium over a period of 40 years, a new project is now underway. Its goal: to restore the site in the post-mining phase as closely as possible to its initial state. This is called remediation, and the remediation project extends over a 20-year period, with 10 years of works and the continuation of environmental monitoring for a further 10 years. This is an essential step in the life cycle of a mine, representing a budget of 125 billion CFA francs, or 190 million euros, for the remediation, as well as for supporting social and community projects. Building on its expertise in mine closure, Orano Mining is deploying the largest project of this type ever undertaken in West Africa. Several sub-projects are being conducted in parallel on the underground mine. The industrial facilities, the tailings pile, and the effluent ponds. In the underground mine, the Cominak remediation work consists of dismantling the equipment, then bringing most of it back up to the surface, leaving the galleries to flood naturally, allowing for backfilling to avoid any potential collapses. The tunnels linking underground parts of the mine with the surface are then backfilled to return the aquifers to a condition as close as possible to their initial state. The groundwater at different levels is monitored constantly using piezometers. The duration of these works is 18 months. On the surface, the mine entrance is blocked. The processing plant was the first surface facility to be demolished. These works lasted around 15 months. It was then the turn of the other buildings, workshops, offices, and utilities to be demolished. 3 years were necessary to complete the asbestos removal and demolition of the workshops. Once the works are completed, on completion of the demolition works, radiation measurements are taken for the whole zone to check compliance with radioactivity standards. In the absence of any disposal route for industrial waste in Niger, the materials resulting from the demolition are stored on site in a responsible and safe manner, covered by the tailings pile. The remediation of the tailings pile should last 5 years. Stored at the surface during the operation of the industrial zone, the tailings take up a surface area of 120 hectares and have to be remediated to guarantee mechanical stability and radiological protection over the very long term. The tailings pile is first of all reprofiled to allow rainwater to run off through the drainage channels while guaranteeing mechanical stability to avoid any landslides of tailings or of the covering layer and ensure its resistance over time. The tailings pile is then covered with a 1.5 meter thick layer of argillite, present in plentiful quantities on the site. When compacted, this loose, damp rock guarantees impermeability, acting as a natural barrier against gamma radiation and radon. A 50-centimeter layer of sandstone is then added to protect the layer of argillite from erosion. By slowing the flow of rainwater, this protective layer naturally maintains the cover over time. To check the effectiveness of these protective measures, the radioactivity is measured in the surrounding environment by air and water monitoring points spread out throughout the area. Radioactivity measurements are also performed on agricultural products. The ponds at Cominak contain processing effluents from the plant. To remediate these ponds, Orano has developed a technique which is unique. Indeed, ponds are often not remediated at all. The ponds contain sludges with pockets of liquid and a dry crust over the top. The treatment consists of adding sand to the ponds very slowly. This operation allows the sand to penetrate the sludges and exert pressure on the liquids, which are then pumped to the surface for evaporation. At the end of the process, the sand and the sludges are mixed. The ponds dry, and a vehicle or machinery weighing several tons can easily be driven over them. Once completely filled in and dried out, the ponds are covered with an impermeable layer of argillite. The other ponds and the quarries will be banked to allow safe entry and exit. Environmental monitoring of the ponds consists of checking that the argillite remains firmly in place. A network of piezometers already in place is used to make sure that there is no leakage from the ponds. Environmental monitoring continues after closure of the mine, during the remediation works, and for a period of at least 10 years after the completion of works. During the works, samples and measurements are taken once a month at each of the 10 air monitoring stations. The water is monitored via the network of piezometers every 3 months in both industrial and urban areas. Samples from the food chain are taken and analyzed once a month. The objective is not to exceed the regulatory limit for populations of a dose increment of +1 millisievert a year compared to the natural dose. The results are shared with the Niger's Departmental Mining Department. The remediation is based on solid governance between Cominak, the Nigerian Ministry of Mines, and civil society. 3 committees monitor and check the proper execution of the project: a local committee, a multidisciplinary team at national level, and an inter-ministerial technical committee. As a mark of his implication in the process, the Departmental Director of Mining pays a visit to the site on a bi-monthly basis. In around 2030, when the project is complete, the site will have been returned to a condition close to its initial state. It will be safe, clean, and non-polluting.